Hello one and all, this is my review of My Hero Academia chapter 360 Despite It All. And I'm honestly not sure what was more brutal, Bakugo nearly getting torn to shreds by all of Shigaraki's creepy little fingers, or Lemillion dropping the line, "Oh, I get it, it's because you've never had any friends." Holy God above Lemillion, that was brutal. That was over freaking whelmingly brutal, and I loved it. I mean, even Shigaraki looked shaken by that line, and I think it does make sense, because Shigaraki's, starting to second guess things here. I mean, the whole reason why he's doing all of this, as he says here, is because he believes the current framework has failed. Basically, society as it exists right now doesn't work, doesn't actually work for the people. And it is fairly true, it's a whole other debate. And Lemillion's counter is basically, okay, if you want to destroy everything in this world, then that means that there is nothing in this world that holds any true value for you. There's nothing you really do care about. You don't have any friends you think are worth fighting for. And that's not actually the case, at least for Shigaraki. It is definitely a case for All For One. He's broken inside. He is definitely broken. There's nothing he really cares about other than making people suffer. And that's the reason why, he can't overpower One For All. He can't steal the quirk for himself, because he isn't actually able to generate the emotions needed to overcome the quirk singularity. But, Shigaraki, he does actually have people he cares about. He has a League of Villains. Way back, I think right before the Redestor arc, Shigaraki said, "I'm gonna destroy everything in this world." And then Toga popped up and said, what about the stuff we like? And Shigaraki's response is basically, "Hey, you guys are cool, so whatever you like, I promise I won't destroy." I love that moment. I freaking love that moment. And I definitely think, it's relevant here. Shigaraki cares about the League of Villains, and he cares about what they care about. And I think he's going to start doubting himself, like, okay, is what I'm doing right now really going to help them get what they want? Because, they're all off on different battlefields, and there's a fairly good chance at least a few of them are going to die. I may have made some poor choices here, and I think that's going to be, the motivation he needs to basically free himself from All For One's control. Maybe the League of Villains, Toga, Spinner, even Mr. Compress, are going to essentially switch sides, come to this fight, and basically, give Shigaraki the push he needs to free himself from All For One's control. Or maybe more realistically, they are all going to die, and then Shigaraki's going to realize, oh, I messed up. I messed up bad. I messed up very, very bad. Okay, so yeah, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm not going to try and destroy the world. I just want to kill All For One because basically he is the one that got my friends killed. Either way, I am more now convinced than ever that the final fight of this series will be Shigaraki and Deku teaming up to take down All For One, and I am so freaking excited to see that. Oh, that's gonna be amazing. That's gonna be so amazing. But anyway, though, back at the start of this chapter, Shigaraki picked up Bakugo with his feet, threw him in the air, kicked and punched him a bunch, and then, like I said before, used his creepy fingers to try and basically crush him to death. Well, basically explaining, I'm really glad that my quirk's been blocked here, because this means that when I kill you, there's gonna be a corpse left behind that Deku can see, and that's really gonna make him upset. Which, really kind of contradicts my whole theory that Deku and Shigaraki are going to team up down the road, but let's just say, all that sadistic nature is All For One's influence, and once Shigaraki's been freed of it, then he'll become a good person again. Maybe. Probably not. And just cut above, even more brutal than the actual beatdown, is probably what he says next. No matter the heights you reach, you'll never be more than Izuku Midoriya's hanger-on, a minnow in One For All's wake. Which, is definitely true, and I think that's been one of Bakugo's greatest fears. Once he realized that Deku had power, and had a ridiculous amount of power, he was afraid that Deku would one day be able to outshine him, that Deku would one day be able to surpass him. I think even back, when Bakugo and Deku were kids, he realized there was something special about Deku. He had the true heart of a hero, and that just really bothered him, because he knew that, if Deku had the power, he'd be a far greater hero than Bakugo ever could be. And, after that beatdown, after the brutal words, you think that Bakugo is down for the count. He's, not ready to fight anymore. He just wants to go into the field position and cry himself to sleep. And that definitely seems to be what's happening when Best Jeanist rescues him. And he's like, "We gotta fix up your arm so you can go back in the fight." And then Bakugo says nothing. He's like, "Oh, Bakugo's been broken. Oh, okay, I'm gonna fix up your arm, and then just go find a corner to hide in. We'll finish off this fight without you." which is kind of buff. That is not Bakugo. That is abso-freaking-lutely not Bakugo. Instead, he says, right side, finger, faint. And this is apparently something that convinces Best Jeanist that he hasn't given up the fight. That he still has a plan moving forward. That he's still willing to keep battling even after everything that's happened up to this point. And that just really goes to show how truly terrifying Bakugo is. And that, Aizawa was right. All those many chapters ago when Bakugo was first kidnapped, Aizawa said, there's no way on God's green earth that Bakugo could become a villain. That Bakugo could be corrupted by the villains because he is a hero at his very soul, at the very core of his being. And that has never been more clear than it is right here, right now. He is truly going beyond plus ultra. Now, as for the meaning of what he said, right side, the best explanation I've seen from the internet is basically that Bakugo's first shot, the one I said last week, did absolutely nothing to hurt Shigaraki, did actually have an impact, and basically Shigaraki can't see or hear on his right side, so if they attack him from that side, he won't be able to see the attack coming, and they'll be able to, take him down, or at least do some serious damage. As for who would actually do that damage, not sure. I mean, it definitely does seem like there's something going on with Bakugo here, and a big theory I'm seeing online is that basically Bakugo is awakening his quirk. It's evolving into a new form that's going to be way more powerful than it was before. And this is a plot point that a lot of people have had an issue with for a long time, quirk evolution, but to me it's always been, an incredibly rare event that has happened, I think, like maybe 3 or 4 times in the entirety of this series. It's something that the author only pulls out when a character is truly and utterly pushed to the very limit of their powers. They find a way to make themselves just a bit stronger. They find a new aspect of their quirk. And as for what it might be here, I mean, the big theory I'm seeing again is basically that Bakugo's, his sweat is nitroglycerin, but his tears are like uranium or something incredibly explosive, and he just, is able to cry on Shigaraki. The explosion will be so massive it'll actually be able to, cause real permanent damage. Which maybe, but I honestly just find that thought really hilarious. Like, Bakugo is like, okay, I need to cry! Somebody punch me! Somebody say something mean to me! I mean, there's like a whole cooking team in the base of UA, so maybe Lemillion can just, run down and grab a bunch of onions and come back up and start chopping them in front of Bakugo. Oh, that'd be ridiculous. That'd be so utterly ridiculous. Either way, though, it seems like Bakugo has a plan of some sort. Some way, somehow, they can actually put down Shigaraki. I mean, probably not, because, Deku needs to put down Shigaraki. Though, honestly, it would really be an amazing twist if Bakugo actually found a way, somehow, some way, to kill Shigaraki. I mean, it would just utterly destroy everything they built up, but at the same time, it goes in the whole, everyone can be a hero, even without the huge ultimate power of one for all. Seriously, Bakugo ends up killing Shiraki next chapter, the chapter after that is an epilogue, and then the series is over! Huzzah! Obviously not, but I do like the idea. But anyway, this chapter also had the big 3 coming in and rescuing Bakugo. Huzzah! And first off, we had Najir, who basically tried to stab Shigaraki in the back, but that didn't go all that well, given that he used Bakugo as a human shield. But even this was basically a distraction, so that Sun Eater can show up and, stab Shigaraki with venom, which, I mean, the whole octopus, mirage, and scorpion toxin was a good combo, but honestly, did you actually think that'd be enough to put down Shigaraki? Did you really think that with all the modifications the doctor did to him, he didn't include poison resistance, poison immunity? I'm not actually sure, because apparently, in response to the poison, Shigaraki's fingers grew mouths whose tongues were made up of fingers. Yeah, that happened. I don't know what it means, but it's gonna haunt my nightmares for the rest of my goddamn life. This is terrifying. This is utterly freaking terrifying. And also, again, let's not forget, this is not a quirk. This is not a quirk-based power. This is a science-based healing factor. Somehow. That's honestly ridiculous. But yeah, anyway, turns out toxins were a very bad idea, but thankfully Lemillion shows up and is able to save Bakugo. Huzzah! Yeah, turns out he's been going up and down, basically as a messenger for UA, which makes a lot of sense, because he's able to, pass through the ground and back up again, and even probably go outside the UA barrier and is able to, communicate with people and say, hey, people, what's going on? What's happening? Anyone know where Deku is? Because, we kind of dropped off our radar. Curious. Very curious. But anyway, it turns out Lemillion's quirk is very useful, though can't really do all that much damage to Shigaraki, but thankfully is able to team up with Najir and carry her attack right to Shigaraki, and delivers a pretty powerful blow to him. I mean, I don't think it does, all that much damage, but, their goal isn't actually to kill Shigaraki here. Lemillion, the big three, basically, they just want to hold him off until Deku shows up. Whenever that's going to be, because, we still have no idea where exactly Deku is right now. And that's basically my thoughts on this chapter. Let me know anything else down below. What do you think Bakugo meant when he said right side finger feint? Is he just saying that Shigaraki is blind the right side and they're going to use that to basically, deliver a finishing blow to him? Do you think he's actually unlocked a new aspect of his quirk that's going to allow him to do some permanent damage? Do you think that Bakugo has any chance of actually killing Shigaraki? I mean, like I said before, it seems very unlikely, but it would be just such a great moment for him. And seriously, I'd just love to imagine, him holding over Deku like, well, I guess you weren't needed after all. I managed to kill Shigaraki by myself. It would mess up so much of the storyline, but I would absolutely freaking love to see that. And just let me know what you think about all this down below. Be sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss my next video. And until then, peace!